comes out of that region. But now let's take a look at page 8 of the Standard. We're told Central Kenya to wait for Uhuru Nod, Waiguru says. Now, that's his Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru saying that the Central Kenya will wait for the President Kenyatta to give them political direction on who to support in 2022. There's a lot of talk of that, the upcoming polls. What do you feel about this one?
From where I sit,
Yeah.
I think our politicking is very, very interesting. But granted, it's also, kingpin based and tribal king.
Whether we agree or not.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So if the boss, sometimes you've heard people say, if my kingpin has read, then I've read the Constitution. And if we give them marching orders, we do march, really. And that's why we need actually to divorce our political system from personalities to issue-based.
Yes.
It is truly unfortunate. And I've had it before. I saw, and this hurts me, when somebody says, a legislator saying that I am unable to process even the budget that is actually, completely opaque, because we are now at peace. I don't want to look like I am opposing the handshake, for example, because that is the direction of what my boss thinks, and therefore I must comply regardless of how painful it is the people we represent. And this is clever, from where I sit, that unless you get the signals, you may find yourself bracing yourself. For example, there's so much expected in this kind of arrangement prior to 2022. There are so many things that are about to happen that may change the political terrain. So you wait for the signals. Remember when Marama was saying, Mama, give us a signal which way to go. And this is exactly what is happening. And until we divorce ourselves from personality to issue-based politics, we should be continuously doing this. And there's an article here that says the only way to Kenya to prosper is to kind of change our political system. Unfortunately, that is where we are, and I think Madam Waiguru is cleverly in place, because if the Constitution comes and there's a slot, if you offend the ones who
the powers that be,
you may lose it out. So I think it is unfortunate, but the reality is that is the kind of politics we are playing today.
And it's a clever move for her to say this and for it to be in the papers and talked about on morning shows. Honorable Shile.
Yes, I think just 3 points on that story. I think there's a part where Governor Waiguru is quoted as saying that he supports, she said that the region, that the governor, however, added that the region would lean towards a candidate who takes care of their interest, and which is okay. And supports an expanded executive to ensure that political interests of many communities are taken care of. That's a very telling statement. Means this is BBI. So you can see that everyone who is supporting BBI, there is a predetermined the direction that they want BBI to go to. They already predetermined that they want to change the constitution in order to include 2 prime ministers, 2 deputies, the expanded government. So I'm glad that she has finally said it and brought it out in the open, that we know there's nothing about going round. All these issues that BBI is going around and getting views from the people is not true. They've already predetermined the positions. And really this is sad because, and I don't know if Central Kenya has decided they want an expanded. Yes. And
Do
I
they
do not
get
know
to even decide?
If I mean, I don't know whose behalf she's speaking, but at least we now know BBI is a predetermined process and we don't have to beat about the bush about it. I think on the issue that Jubilee will wait for the direction from the party leader. I think, again, that one is something that there is a process. Jubilee does have a constitution, which are going to have a parliamentary. First of all, Jubilee must have elections by March, according to the law. Yes, and then they must file their returns, and they must. So the current officials are interim, and then thereafter we'll have a parliamentary group meeting, and then of course there will be usually the delegate conference, and there'll be discussions on deciding who's the candidate and so on. I think there is a party process to do that, and we must remember, if we want to build our political parties, if we want to improve our democracy, let us go back and be able to follow the law.
Now, what about the issue-based politics vis-a-vis personality politics? So do you think that this is the direction that we need to be forging and taking?
I think if we tried to implement our constitution.
Yes.
Remember, the reason why politics have always been tribal or been personality-based,
yes,
it's because we don't have strong political parties. Honorable Magara here was the chairman of the Center for Multi-Party Democracy.
Yeah.
And it's an attempt to strengthen our parties. Our new constitution actually goes into great depth to discuss political parties because we want to strengthen our political parties. So that is really what is going to make our politics. If we strengthen our political parties, we'll make it issue-based. Why was the reason that we gave the political parties fund is given from the National Treasury to political parties? Right. The reason is we want to strengthen even a small party that doesn't have money. We didn't want a way that parties where the members were the people who are wealthy are the only ones who would make it. And I think before I move on, if you allow me, because something I forgot to mention about the MAU.
Oh, yes.
And as I'm saying, let's make allocation of land a reality. I think most wealthy people with new money in Kenya, how do they make their money? They made their money by being allocated land, and then they would sell the land, and then that's how their lifestyles change. Reality, and you can name very many of them.
Right.
Today, of course, because land is not being allocated during the Kibaki regime, what actually happened, that's how corruption started. Because now you're in the public service, there is no land to be dished to you, you then now became corrupt. So I think it's just moving one type of making money out of government to another type. It is a reality, and let's not try to pretend it or sugarcoat it.
Okay, Dr. Mtie?
Yeah, I'm back on Central Kenya politics.
Yes.
They are waiting for Uhuru's nod for that constituent. I think, to me, it would be a wise decision for Uhuru Kenyatta to stamp his authority because he is the headmaster within this school of Jubilee.
Of juveniles, are you going to say that?
Okay.
Well, we all acknowledge that there's a lot of rift within the party itself.
Yes.
We can say that it's not all lost. But this is healthy for democracy because where members within a party as a vehicle are able to express their views and say it all according to how they feel it, I think to me is the right way to go because gone are those days when you were a member of Kano, you could not deviate from the norms of the headmaster of that school. But nowadays, at least people are able to express themselves and say it as they feel is supposed to be done. Now, going forward for Jubilee, I think it's a litmus test for them, first of all, on how they are going to showcase their unity of purpose coming in the run to 2022. Because first of all, I'm saying that while NASA, which cannot purport to be in unity, cannot laugh at how things are in Jubilee, because as you can see clearly there are two camps, and how to gravitate.
How does he come up with the two-camp story?
Well, it's all over. It's all over.
Sitting next to a lawyer.
It's all over here.
Yeah.
It's all over here. But anyway, going forward, that one you cannot ignore, Madam Boss. You cannot ignore that there's division within the Jubilee Party. But as I said, it's healthy for democracy.
Yeah.
But we need to ask
Not
ourselves.
that I know. Okay.
Yeah. But going forward, I think Uhuru does not need to wait to do what Kibaki did in the run to 2007 election, 2008, when actually people expected him to name his running mate, his vice president, Bwana Kalonzo Musyoka, as the flag bearer for that particular party. But he never did that. We all waited, we all speculated. Kalonzo even could pick some wrong signals in Machakos by saying that Kibaki has declared him as the potential successor. But it never came. And that brought a lot of tension, a lot of push and pull until it was clear that Kibaki was not going to name his successor. So Uhuru does not need to go that way. He has to stamp his authority and say, this is the promise that we gave to Kenyans, this is my position, this is my preferred person whom I feel is going to take the mantle. But he must leave that democratic obligation to the people to decide during the ballot, because he cannot, of course, impose a candidate to the people. People have their free will, according to democracy, to choose whoever they want to choose. But he, as a person, has an obligation within that party arrangement to name a person whom he feels will take care of the business of the country going forward.
Okay.
But before this one escapes me, while we are talking about the issue of BBI and the issue of the Punguza Mzigo initiative and another initiative that might crop in, because you never know what Madam Boss is working behind the scenes. You might come up with something also, like the Ongeza Mzigo thing that I had to talk about in a different platform.
Okay.
She has talked about a predetermined, decision or output from the BBI initiative.
Yes.
I don't think so, because we are speculating here. As a lawyer, where did you get that?
No, she has stated and an expired executive, and if you look at the inception report of BBI, it talks about exactly the same.
Let's assume for now.
Exactly. It's identical.
Let's assume for now. Let's assume for now we do not know the contents of the BBI.
We know. We have an inception report.
No, let's wait until we get the final report. And inception is not final. Until that document is adopted as a final document is when we can start debating about the issue of BBI. So that now we can say, oh yes, I don't like the contents of the BBI, I like the contents of Punguza Mzigo, I like the contents of Ongeza Mzigo, and so on and so on. Until we do not have that final draft or final copy, I think we can just wait until the contents are out for us to see.
Right. As we conclude, Honorable Amisi, could you give us your take on this story?
Yeah, first I think we need to give it to her, Governor Anne Waiguru, because it is within her constitutional right and political right to express her views, in terms of future politics. And you cannot wish her words away. Why? Because just like any other nation, we have political powerhouse. That always. They are called political dinosaurs. They have always been there. They'll always determine whether you talk about the US or UK. There are all those families that always, have a say on the potential, heir apparent. But we've also learned from history that it's not definite that if an outgoing president supports you, then you'll win. It's not definite, but you cannot also wish away the powers that President
the other voices
currently holds in Central Province.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is within our right to express our views. On the BBI, I think I've always said that we wait for the outcome. We are so much excited about it. When you are supporting or not supporting, people are just excited about it. I think it's a new thing. It's a good thing because people are excited about it. They're wondering what is the content. So we cannot really have a say so much, because what is coming out, in fact, I saw another document that this is now the report that has come out from the BBI. There are so many reports going around. There are so many drafts. So we can never know which one is
a genuine one.
Yeah, but I think we give them time. They have their time. They'll give us. If we just maintain our patience a little bit, we'll get the content, and then from there we'll have to argue for or against what is contained in.
You're right, but politically speaking, in Kenya, we do know that patience is not our strongest suit. We love to speculate.
I never speculate. There is an inception report. It's a 9 points. And then there is a quoted statement. I never speculate.
You're giving facts.